It's very rare that that today's U.S. House of Representatives, the U.S. House of Representatives in the 116th Congress, does anything respectable or decent or smart or intelligent. It's very rare, but they have done it today, and I, being the independent that I am, the non interventionist that I am, the anti Zionist that I am, have to congratulate the United States House of Representatives in the 116th Congress for going against the Zionist lobby, the military industrial complex lobby, the banking lobby, and saying no to Donald Trump, who sadly, it breaks my heart to see Donald Trump so cucked out to the Zionists. It's so sad. But anyway, I mean, things break your heart. It's just so sad. As for those genetically inferior, subhuman Zionist supporters, ironically enough, most Trump supporters are actually anti-Zionist as well. When he posted on Facebook that he is pro-Israel and this and that, he had more angry emojis than love emojis. They were angry emojis. So most Trump supporters are smart. There are just a few out there, boomers. Oh, they're almost dead anyway. They're almost dead, and worms will be eating them, maggots will be eating them, and we can dance on their graves. But anyway, I have to congratulate the United States House of Representatives in the 116th Congress for saying no to Donald Trump to going to war in Iran. And if he does go to war in Iran, he will not receive any funding from the Congress without approval to go to war. So basically what they're saying is, if you want to go to war, you need to get approval from the U.S. House of Representatives, or from the United States Congress as a whole. We still have the Senate, and most of the senators are in the pockets of the Zionists. So don't think for a moment that the Congress itself has put a leash on Trump or anything like that. But they're saying if you want to go to war, you have to ask Congress. And if you don't ask Congress, we're not going to give you the money to fund that war. So, in effect, it'll be useless. And for those of you who don't know anything about government, U.S. government, it's the Congress that holds the purse strings. The president can do whatever he wants when it comes to military action, or he could sign an executive order when it comes to certain things. But it's the Congress that holds the purse strings. And he doesn't get, you can't do anything without the money. That's why it's so hard for him to build a wall. I don't really like that system. I believe in parliamentary democracy like we have here in Canada, because that way you can, you elect somebody to actually do a job, and if we don't like the job they do, we throw them out. And then we also have a Senate, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with the Senate. I think that in its place it should be like a direct democracy where in effect we're the senators, but I like a parliamentary democracy, but that's something different. I don't know why I'm getting off topic. But it served its purpose this time, because we have America has a president that is so controlled. He's chastised by the Zionists. They put a chastity belt on him. Netanyahu put a chastity belt on him, and so we need. I don't like this House of Representatives. They are far left, but on this issue, I support them 100%. They have said no, and most of those people would vote no for a war like this, which I think which is good. The old dog Democrats are still in the hands of the Zionists, but just because the U.S. House of Representatives have made this decision, don't think that war is stoppable now or preventative, because the Senate, with the with the exception of people like Rand Paul, who is a very patriotic individual, a great individual, he should have been chosen as vice president. He will most likely vote for the same motion that the U.S. House of Representatives voted for. Maybe a few Democrats. The Democrats in the Senate are a little bit more. They're older. They've been there for years, and they're more likely to support the Zionist neocon military-industrial complex side, which is to go to war with Iran, which is, foolish, as I've stated. Iran should not be the enemy in the Middle East. The Middle Eastern enemy to America is Saudi Arabia. Well, technically it's Israel, but, because you got a lot of Americans out there, white Americans who have a problem with, Muslims, which I do have a problem with Islam. Radical Islam, again, is a problem. It's a Zionist cause problem. But I would say the Middle Eastern enemy when it comes to Islam is Saudi Arabia, and they're in cahoots with Israel. But for some reason, we're going after Iran, and the reason is of course, financial domination, socio-political domination. Iraq, Libya, Syria, they all have central banks which are not Rothschild Zionist controlled. Libya used to, now they do. Libya is now in the hands of the West and the globalists and the Zionists. Iraq is. Syria is not. They resisted, thank God to them. Iran is not. So far, they're resisting as well. They've got sanctions all over them, everything like that, but they're still resisting. They're still resilient. And that's really the only reason why they want to go to war, to fulfill the Greater Israel Project, to have a central bank that is run by the Zionists and the Rothschilds, those type of things, to be a roadblock to Arab nationalism, which, anybody who is afraid of the refugee crisis we have in the West, the influx of migrants to places like Europe and Canada and the United States. Many of these people want to change our way of life, partly because their homelands have been destroyed by the West, and they have nowhere else to. Iraq, Libya, Syria was briefly torn up, and we had a Syrian refugee crisis. That's the reason they're coming. Anybody who is afraid of the influx of Islamic migrants should be parading and praising Arab nationalism, because it means that those leaders will fix up their country so that their people won't have a reason to come to our country. They'll stay where they are, practice their way of life. And you know what? They want to do that. They don't want to come here. I think the only country in the Middle East which would really be a threat to the West, whereby the country could be as great as possible, they would want to infiltrate the West. The only Middle Eastern country which is infiltrating the West right now, economically and even geographically, is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, and again, they are in the hands, not in the hands, but they are partnered with the Israeli Zionists. They are a part of this plan. So, and that's the reason for that is because the Saudi leadership is mostly interested in money. They don't give a damn about their people. So I want to congratulate the House of Representatives. A lot of them don't know why they're voting against war with Iran. A lot of them are just doing it to frustrate Trump. I am doing it because I'm an intelligent, superior, logically individual who knows what is going on. I know the news behind the fake Jewish-controlled media. I know what's actually going on. I have no reason to go after Donald Trump other than the fact that he's in the hands of the Zionists, and I want to bring him back to the side of America. But whatever their motives are, it's the right decision they've made. I want to thank them, and this is the Arana Nation.